Sushreeya, and today we are going to discuss a very, very cool topic that I found out and I loved it a lot. Can you guys guess what it is? That's right, we are going to be talking about Mesopotamia. So, what is Mesopotamia? Mesopotamia is a very, very old civilization, and there are aspects and knowledge in so many different aspects of our life, such as medicine, writing, mathematics, time, and so much more, like the directions of the wind, helped us and gave us a thirst for new learning and a better understanding of our world. So, let's dive in! So today we're going to be discussing three crucial parts of Mesopotamia: Mesopotamia's geography, the Code of Hammurabi, and Debonis. And make sure you stay at the end to watch it out. So what was Mesopotamia's geography? Mesopotamia means the land between two rivers. Those two rivers were the Tigris and the Euphrates rivers. And there were so many different landforms that were very important too, like the Nile Delta, the Nile River flowing through, and the Fertile Crescent, which was full of fertile land and helped them grow a lot of crops. But there were also strong mountains, and back then they didn't have planes to fly over, so it was very hard for invaders to attack Mesopotamia. Now we are going to dive into the Code of Hammurabi, otherwise known as Hammurabi's Code or the Law of Hammurabi. So, what is it? First, let me tell you a little bit about who Hammurabi is. Hammurabi was the sixth king in the Babylonian dynasty, and which means he basically ruled in Babylonia. But that doesn't mean he just ruled Babylon. He also ruled Mesopotamia, and he was a very strong ruler. And he created these very powerful set of laws. They were made of around 200 to 300 laws, and we uncovered them on a slate written in cuneiform, Mesopotamia's language in written form. And these laws had a lot of pros and cons, but if you think about it, there were a lot of more cons. So let's start off with the pros. The Code of Hammurabi made sure that the public was an orderly and disciplined society, and the public was always being maintained by this law. But there are so many cons to it. First of all, this set of law was very, very harsh. Second of all, these laws made the public scared of committing a crime. And while there were some, very basic laws to help us rule our lives, the punishments were often very scary, and most of them just led to immediate death. So let's talk about one of the scenarios. But before I talk about one of the scenarios, I need to tell you something very important. The Mesopotamians' lives were central to God. Their lives and jobs were dedicated to God. They prayed 3 times a day: dawn, day, and dusk. All their donations and everything would be offered to God. Before a new building would be allowed to open or be able to move in as an office, it was offered to the gods. So now let me tell you about a scenario. Let's talk about the case of witchcraft or theft. In most of the cases, your punishment would be to drown yourself in a river. And if you floated, good job, you are not guilty. But if you drowned, too bad, so sad, you died, but you are guilty too. And your property would be given to the person accused. Now, there could be some evidence that some people misused this law and falsely accused some people, and that's kind of a bad thing too. But how does this punishment make sense? Because in our day, unless you learn or to swim or you have a floaty, you can't really float on water. I just mentioned that the gods were central to Mesopotamians' life. So if you think about it, it does make sense. Mesopotamians probably believed that the gods would help them if they were innocent, but they would let them drown if they were not innocent. Mesopotamia was also divided by class and sometimes even gender, but mostly by social classes. At the top were very powerful people like kings and nobles, and at the bottom were a lot of unskilled workers, not important people, like maybe farmers, and most of all, slaves. That's why if you injure a doctor or someone of high class, like a high pharaoh or a noble, you would get a better punishment or a bigger punishment. But if you hurt someone that was a slave, your punishment really wouldn't be a lot, maybe just a few lashes. Now here comes the bonus. Mesopotamian inventions. Mesopotamian inventions really helped us in our central lives, and they really set the route for how we live our lives. They created a lot of things such as writing, advanced mathematics, the compass, bricks, weaving, and a lot of other tools for that. They even created some silk and special tools. They created a lot of other things too, and they created most of all their own language. They also found the basics of time, and they made their own compass. One more central thing I really want to tell you that I found out was construction. But they didn't create all of construction. They made one very basic law. When you take a turn, right or left, the turn would be a 90-degree angle. And that law is essentially very important for us, because that's exactly how we take a right or left turn today. Very interesting, right? And they made so many different things. Mesopotamia's aspects of life really helped us learn about different things. And you know, for us, technology is computers and phones and iPads, but for them, they were really more creative. For them, they created their own hammers, their own screws, and they created their own hand looms. That is a very hard thing, because they need to make their own pedals. They created their own sorts of entertainment, like board games. They also did gambling, but their gambling wasn't as bad or addictiveness to ours. So Mesopotamians' lifestyle was so healthy that we can learn so much from the Mesopotamians. I hope you learned something from the Mesopotamians. Think Mesopotamian. Stay safe, everybody. Bye!